Will you join me in prayer? Loving God, thank you for this day, and thank you for this opportunity to speak about love. That you open our hearts and our minds to receive this message, your message, that the truth come from me, the truth come from you through me. And for this I am so grateful. Amen. So, making room for love. Well, listen, I got to share this story with you that I heard this week about Nathan, who was a rather frugal man, and Nathan decided he was going to go out and buy his wife a Christmas gift, and went to Macy's and went to the perfume counter and found the perfect fragrance, and then asked the sales girl, "How much is this?" And she said, $150. And he gasped. And he said, "Well, don't you have anything cheaper, a little less expensive, smaller?" So she produced a smaller bottle of the same perfume. And he said, "And how much is this?" And she said, $50. And he gasped again. And he said, "Do you have anything that's less expensive?" And so she pulled out a sample bottle. And he said, "And how much is this?" And she said, "It's $10. And he was absolutely exasperated by then. And he said, "Oh, can you let me see anything cheaper?" And so she handed him a mirror. Oh, we all have a Nathan in our life, don't we? So this is Advent, and this is the season of hope and peace and love and joy. And today I'm actually going to be speaking about love and making room for love. And I'm going to share some quotes with you that I found about love. Terry Waite says, "At the end of the day, love and compassion will win." Yes. In this quote, real love is knowing someone's weaknesses and not taking advantage of them, knowing their flaws and accepting who they are. We know that to be true. Louise Hay says, "If I want to be loved as I am, I have to be willing to love others as they are." And Mr. Rogers, my favorite, Fred Rogers says, "Love isn't a state of perfect caring. It's an active noun like struggle. To love someone is to strive to accept that person the way he or she is right here and now." And L.R. Nost says, "Be not dismayed by the brokenness of the world. All things break, and all things can be mended. Not with time, as they say, but with intention. So go, love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. The broken world waits in darkness for the light that is you." So the birth of Jesus brought a radical change in the world, and especially how we understand God. In the Hebrew Bible, it is full of scriptures about a God who is mighty, who is to be feared, and who will bring destruction to that who don't fear him, who don't obey him. So we made God this anthropological idea. But Jesus ushered in a new understanding of God. Jesus referred to God as Father, my Father. And in that tradition, and in most traditions, we would lovingly refer to our fathers as my Father. And it would be, be words of endearment. So Jesus really brought God in close. And love mostly comes from our feeling nature. It's something that we experience. And if it's not organically produced, Charles Fillmore says, the more we talk about love, the stronger it grows in the consciousness. And if we persist in thinking loving thoughts and speaking loving words, we are sure to bring that experience the feeling of that great love that is beyond description, the very love of God. So if we're not in a loving place, we're not feeling the love, and we've all been there at some point or another, Charles Fillmore is suggesting that we start talking more about it, that we bring it into our consciousness, that it becomes the focal point, because that which we think about then manifests. Now, in A Course in Miracles, we are taught that we approach life from two directions, either out of love or out of fear. And it is popularly taught and believed that there is but one love, that God is love, and that all love is from Him, hence that all love is God's love. Again, we're using God as Him, or referring to God as a person, when we know that God is spirit. We know that God is presence. We know that God is principle. God is much more than what our human imagination can even imagine. So whatever you think God is, just know it's even more than that. And I know that sounds simplistic, but that's really as best as it comes. And love is the drawing power of mind. It is the magnet of the universe. And about it may be clustered all the attributes of being by one who thinks in divine order. So when we are focused on love, we are a magnet. We are attracting to us our greater good. And it works. It works in our lives for us. It works in how we manifest substance as well. It does not work when we are projecting that upon something else that we can't control. So, if you would love the idea of the Chargers winning the Super Bowl, that may or may not happen. However, it isn't because your magnet is making it so. Maybe the universal magnet might make it so. If you are desiring for your children to respond or act in a particular way, there's no control in that either. The magnet of the universe is how you become the magnet. But I'm going to talk in just a moment about how we can re-see, how we can reframe, how we can revision the Chargers winning the Super Bowl, or our children even responding or acting in a way that we love. Because real love is pure, isn't it? It's pure. And there is no envy in love, because love is satisfaction in itself. Not the satisfaction from the personal self. It's possessions that it attracts, and which is vanity. But it's the inner satisfaction that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good. It insists that all is good. And by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and in all things. This is a really important point. This is why we can accept someone, a person, right here and right now, exactly as they exist. Because when we come from this place of pure love, what falls away are all of our attachments to how they act, or how we want them to be, or how exactly we even want the world to be. What comes to us then is an open understanding, an open heart, an open wisdom to know that everyone is at the right place at the right time for their spiritual growth. And that we are there primarily to to love them. When love, the universal magnet, is brought into action in the consciousness of our race, it will change all methods of supplying human wants. It will harmonize all the forces of nature and will dissolve the discords that now infest earth and air. That condition has been set in each one of us just as soon as he develops or she develops the love nature in himself. So when we are under that magnetism of love, it changes the methods of supplying human wants. It's a really great idea. It's a really great understanding. And this is an understanding that Jesus brought forth, that Jesus exhibited throughout his life. We remember this as, I am the activity of God expressing itself. I am the activity of love expressing itself. Would you repeat this affirmation with me? I am the activity of God expressing itself. Once again, I am the activity of God expressing itself. And third time's the charm. I am the activity of God expressing itself. So Jesus, the birth of Jesus, showed both the shallowness and the possibility of man. Because you see, there was no room in the inn. There was no room. And the inn represents the higher ranges of thought. There was no room in the end. So the world wasn't quite ready for Jesus, for the Christ spirit, for the Christ concept, this new understanding of love. They needed it. They needed it desperately. We still need it. We're still learning to grow into that and to expand our consciousness into that. But they didn't know it. And so as Mary and Joseph enter into Bethlehem, and there's no room for them in the inn, well, that's just an excellent metaphor that of the no room in the inn that we have sometimes for divine love. How we often can look at something or someone, some particular situation that needs our love, that needs our attention, needs our compassion, and how we can absolutely look the other way. Now, we don't look away because we're callous. No, I can tell you this is a room full of loving people. This past Thursday, we had someone come in at the end of Classic Unity who was needing some assistance. And in that moment, the people who were there gathered their resources together to provide that assistance. There was no callousness. There was no turning the backs. There was only love that was given. Now, what happens sometimes when people come to us and they're seeking assistance, they're seeking a certain kind of love or a certain manifestation, sometimes it's too big for us to handle. It's too much for us as one person, or so we believe. So it's easy to walk on and walk past and say, I'm sorry, I can't help. Doesn't mean that we're callous. It just means that we're overwhelmed because the world is always bringing forward people or opportunities for us to demonstrate God's love to. So I offer this to you in those moments, that you stand firm in God's love, that you hold God's love in your heart. You hold your compassion in your heart. You can still not respond in the way that they want you to respond and still be very loving. To see the other person as an individual, to see the other person who is in need, to love that person in need. And when we're able to furnish the supplies for that need, we do that. But if we're not, we still hold that person in love. We continue going on holding them in love. Because love is a magnet. Love is a magnet. Jesus said in Mark 6:4, a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own homeland and among his relatives and his own family. And I share that with you because as Jesus, Mary and Joseph come into Bethlehem and Jesus is born, there wasn't a welcome sign waiting for them. The innkeeper wasn't a mean person. In fact, all of us have been innkeepers. All of us have had to guard a door of some sort, either of our hearts or something outside of ourselves. So the innkeeper wasn't a harsh person. The innkeeper was just doing their job. But the innkeeper assisted in helping find a place, a safe harbor for this trio to land. But the world itself was having a difficult time understanding who Jesus was. And what's so amazing about this, about the birth of Jesus, for me anyway, is that Jesus is honored by both the shepherds and by the kings, by the magi. So the very lowest of positions and a very high position, both came forward recognizing and ushering this new era in. This Christmas, as we open our hearts to love and we create the magnet that is us, we look forward to those opportunities to share our love with one another. It's real easy in here with each other because we do that so well. But as we go out today, to hold that smile, to hold that love in our heart, as we gaze into the eyes of other people. Now, at this point in the message, there was to be a whole group of children to come in and to share their Christmas story with you. However, the message is finished and the children aren't here. They're probably in the desert somewhere. It took one group 40 years. I don't know how long it'll take this group. But I'm going to close this message in prayer, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our offertory. And when the children come forward, greet them as if it's a big surprise, okay? You don't have to say surprise, but just go, oh my gosh, children, okay? Join me in prayer. We thank you, loving God, for opening our hearts to the magnetism that is you. And that we go forward expressing your love to all people, to all beings. That in this universe, we are a beacon of light, and we hold that light with an open heart to all we come in contact with. And we give you the thanks and the praise. Amen.